Single mother Emily Johnson thought the man who helped her in the elevator was just the new intern, not knowing he was the millionaire owner of the building. A misunderstanding that turned into a romance filled with challenges and secrets that changed their lives forever. A story of love and second chances that will touch your heart. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment where you're watching from. The March sun beat down mercilessly on the mirrored windows of Skyline Tower, one of the most imposing skyscrapers on Main Street. Emily adjusted the strap of her bag on her shoulder for the 5th time in 2 minutes, feeling the weight of the responsibility she carried, along with the 3 stacked cardboard boxes in her arms. Her brown hair, hastily tied up in a bun, already showed signs of morning despair, with a few rebellious strands escaping, framing her oval face with delicate but determined features. "Mom, you're nervous again," observed Lily, her 7-year-old daughter, without looking up from the tablet where she was playing an educational math game. The girl, a miniature version of Emily with the same expressive brown eyes and the same stubborn chin, swung her legs while sitting on the marble bench in the lobby. "I'm not nervous, sweetheart. I'm just anxious," corrected Emily, pressing the elevator button for the 10th time. The digital display showed that all the elevators were on the upper floors, probably packed with executives arriving for another day of work in the financial heart of the city. It was her first day as a sales coordinator at Johnson & Partners, a consulting firm occupying the top 10 floors of the building. The promotion came with a salary that would finally allow her and Lily to move out of their small, 2-room apartment in the West End, and maybe even fulfill their dream of going on vacation to the beach, something they hadn't done in 3 years. "Why don't we take the stairs?" suggested Lily, with the relentless logic of children. "Because it's 32 floors, sweetie," replied Emily, checking the watch on her wrist. 15 minutes late on the first day. She could feel the sweat forming on her forehead, despite the efficient air conditioning in the lobby. The metallic noise finally announced the arrival of an elevator. When the doors opened, Emily stepped forward, struggling to balance the boxes containing her personal belongings, some important files, and Lily's drawings that decorated her desk at her previous job. "Let me carry that," said a warm, unhurried male voice. Emily looked up and found a tall man with broad shoulders but a relaxed posture. He wore a basic white t-shirt, faded jeans, and running shoes that had seen better days. His dark brown hair was slightly tousled, as if he had rushed to catch the elevator, and his blue eyes sparkled with genuine kindness that made her relax instantly. "Thank you," said Emily, relieved, allowing him to take the 2 heaviest boxes. "You must be the new intern they mentioned in the orientation meeting." Alexander Johnson, heir to a billion-dollar business empire and owner of the entire complex they were in, smiled and nodded. "Something like that," he replied, stepping into the elevator beside her. 32nd floor? How do you know?" Emily seemed surprised. "Johnson & Partners is on that floor. I saw you with the boxes and figured it out." He pressed the button, discreetly observing her reflection in the elevator mirror. Emily had a natural beauty that needed no embellishments, delicate yet expressive features, an upright posture that revealed inner strength, and there was something in her eyes that spoke of dreams deferred but not abandoned. Lily finally looked up from the tablet. "You're really tall," she commented with the brutal honesty of children. Alexander laughed, a genuine sound that echoed in the enclosed space. "And you're very observant. What's your name?" "Lily Johnson. This is my mum, Emily. She's going to work with very important numbers today." "Is that so?" Alexander crouched down to be at the girl's level. "And do you like numbers too?" "Only when they make sense. My mom says numbers always tell a story. But sometimes I think they lie." Emily felt her face heat up. "Lily, don't bother the... Sorry, I didn't catch your name." Alexander, he replied, straightening up again, and she's not bothering me. In fact, I think Lily is right about numbers. They can be manipulated to tell any story you want. The elevator continued its smooth ascent, passing floors occupied by law offices, tech companies, and smaller consultancies. Emily glanced at Alexander out of the corner of her eye. There was something different about him, a calmness that didn't match the typical anxiety of interns on their first day. His posture was relaxed, almost proprietary, as if he belonged there. "Do you live far from here?" Emily asked, trying to fill the silence as the numbers on the digital display kept climbing. "West End," Alexander replied, and Emily couldn't hide her surprise. "Us too. What a coincidence. Which street?" Alexander hesitated for a fraction of a second. He couldn't mention that he had just bought a simple apartment in the area, specifically after discovering where Emily lived, through her HR files. "Maple Street," he partially lied. He had indeed rented a small apartment there, which he would use as a base for his new identity. "How small São Paulo is," commented Lily. "Mom, now you can walk to work when the car breaks down again." Emily felt her face burn with embarrassment. The 2010 Honda Civic she drove was starting to show signs of wear, and maintenance was becoming more frequent. "Lily, it's not polite to talk about those things." "It's okay," Alexander said gently. "I have car troubles too. Sometimes you just have to improvise." The elevator emitted a soft. The elevator dinged as it reached the 32nd floor. The doors opened to reveal an elegant lobby with marble flooring, glass walls, and a breathtaking panoramic view of the city that left one speechless. The reception area was modern, featuring designer furniture in shades of grey and blue, with strategically placed plants that brought life to the corporate environment. "Wow," whispered Lily. "It's like a castle in the sky." Alex smiled, carrying Emily's boxes as they exited the elevator. "It really is impressive," he agreed, watching Emily absorb the environment where she would work for the next few months or years if he could convince her to stay. The receptionist, a stylish middle-aged woman with a professional smile, looked up as they approached. "Good morning. How can I assist you?" "Emily Johnson," said Emily, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "It's my first day as a sales coordinator." "Ah, yes, Ms. Johnson, we've been expecting you. Let me inform Dr. Carter that you've arrived." The receptionist typed something on her computer, then looked at Alex. "And you are—" "I was just helping with the boxes," Alex quickly interrupted. "I work in one of the departments here." Emily looked at him gratefully. "Thank you so much for your help, Alex. I hope to see you around." "You can count on that," he replied, handing the boxes to Emily. For a moment their fingers brushed during the transfer, and Emily felt a small electric charge that made her look directly into his eyes. There was something there, a depth, an intelligence, that didn't match the simplicity of his clothes or the casualness of his demeanor. "See you later, Lily," Alex waved to the girl. "Keep questioning the numbers." As Emily followed the receptionist toward her new office, Lily turned to wave back. "Bye, Alex. You're cool." Alex stood in the lobby for a few minutes after they disappeared, gazing out the panoramic window at the sprawling city below. 3 years ago, after a series of disastrous relationships with women only interested in his wealth, he had decided to temporarily step away from the social circles of the elite. The idea of posing as an ordinary employee had come almost as a joke, a way to observe his company from a different perspective. But Emily Johnson had changed everything. There was something about her, an authenticity, a quiet strength, a determination to give her best for her daughter, despite the challenges, that had fascinated him since the first report he read about her. And now, after meeting her in person, Alex knew he was in dangerous territory. For the first time in his life, he wanted to be loved for who he truly was, not for what he owned. And to find out if that was possible with Emily, he was willing to maintain the charade for as long as necessary. 3 weeks had passed since their first encounter in the elevator, and Emily was starting to feel more confident in her new position. The office at Johnson & Partners was a dynamic environment with a spectacular view of the city that never failed to impress her each morning. Her desk was near the west-facing windows, allowing her to watch the traffic on Main Street and, on clearer days, even catch a glimpse of the distant mountains. On this April morning, Emily was reviewing the sales reports from the last quarter when she noticed a familiar figure in the common kitchen. Alex was there again, making coffee on a simple machine next to the Italian espresso machine that the executives used. She had noticed this pattern. He always chose the most basic options, always carried the same battered brown canvas backpack, and always seemed to know intimate details about the employees' lives. "Good morning, Alex," Emily greeted, approaching with her favorite mug, a colorful one that Lily had painted at school with flowers and the word "Mom" written in crooked letters. "Emily, good morning." His face lit up with a genuine smile. "How was your weekend? Did Lily finish that science project?" Emily looked surprised. She had mentioned the project only in passing on Friday during a casual conversation in the elevator. "She did. We made a volcano with baking soda and vinegar. The kitchen was a mess, but she loved it." "I bet. She explained the whole chemical process to you," Alex said, pouring coffee into 2 disposable cups. He watched Emily grimace as she tasted the watered-down coffee from the basic machine. "You should use the espresso machine," he suggested, pointing to the more sophisticated equipment. "That's for the executives," Emily replied automatically. "We, mere mortals, make do with this coffee." Alex laughed, but Emily noticed a strange expression pass over his face, as if he wanted to say something but held back. "Silly rules," he murmured. "Coffee is coffee." "Speaking of rules," Emily said, leaning against the counter, "how do you know so much about the employees here? It seems like you know everyone's life story." "I pay attention," Alex replied, stirring his coffee unnecessarily. "And people like to talk. You'd be surprised at what you learn just by listening." "That's a rare quality," Emily observed. "Most people talk a lot and listen little, especially in the corporate world." Alex studied her face, noticing the slight melancholy in her eyes. "Are you speaking from personal experience?" "Let's just say I've learned not to trust executive promises too much," Emily said, thinking of her previous job, where she had been passed over for 2 promised promotions. But here it feels different. The environment is more human. If Emily only knew she was talking to the man responsible for those humanized policies, who had personally implemented flexible programs for single parents and instructed HR to treat all employees with dignity, regardless of their hierarchical position. "By the way," Alex said, as if he had just remembered, "I heard they're implementing flexible hours for employees with children. Did you know about that?" Emily raised her eyebrows, surprised. "Really? That would be incredible. Sometimes I have to leave early when Lily gets sick, or arrive late, when she has a doctor's appointment." "It should be out this week," Alex said, trying to sound casual. He had pushed the HR department to expedite this implementation, specifically thinking of Emily and other single parents in the company. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Charles Anderson, the finance department supervisor, a man in his 50s with premature baldness and a penchant for gossip that rivaled any news portal. He looked at Alex with a curious expression. "Alex, right?" Charles said, extending his hand. "We haven't been formally introduced. Charles Anderson, finance." "Nice to meet you, Charles," Alex replied, shaking the offered hand firmly. "Which department are you in again?" Charles asked, and Emily noticed she was also curious about the answer. "I float between various departments, special projects," Alex responded vaguely. "Ah, internal consulting. Charles nodded as if he understood, but Emily noticed that the explanation clarified nothing. "And how long have you been with the company?" Alex hesitated for a fraction of a second. "A few years. I started at the bottom and worked my way up." "Interesting. I've been here for 10 years, and I swear I only started seeing you recently," Charles continued, and Emily felt the tension in the air. "The company is large," Alex said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "It's easy not to run into certain people." Emily observed the interaction with growing curiosity. There was something about Alex's posture that changed when he was questioned directly, a subtle rigidity, an extra care in his choice of words. "Well, I have to get back to work," Charles said, filling his mug with coffee. "Emily, don't forget about the meeting at 2 regarding the new clients in the southern region." After Charles left, a strange silence settled between Emily and Alex. She studied him more closely. The quality of his jeans, which, despite being faded, seemed to have been expensive originally. The way he held the mug, with the confidence of someone used to being served. The way his eyes moved around the room, not with the admiration of an average employee, but with the familiarity of someone who knew every detail. "Alex," Emily said slowly, "can I ask you a question?" "Sure," he replied, but Emily noticed his shoulders tensed slightly. "You seem very comfortable here, like this place is yours." Alex almost choked on his coffee. "It's just that I enjoy what I do," he said quickly. "When you love your job, any place feels familiar." Emily nodded, but doubt remained. "And did you always want to work in business consulting?" "Actually, I studied business administration at Harvard," Alex said, one of the few truths he could tell. "I've always been interested in how companies operate, the behind the scenes of the corporate world." "Harvard? Impressive. It must have been tough." "It had its moments," Alex smiled, recalling the years of study his father insisted he complete, even knowing he would inherit the family business. "But it was worth it. Where did you study?" "Mackenzie, business administration too, but I did it at night while working during the day," Emily said, and Alex felt a pang of admiration and guilt. While he had studied at one of the most expensive universities in the country without worrying about money, she had struggled to manage education and work simultaneously. "That must have been very difficult," he said sincerely. "It was, especially after Lily was born. There were times I studied at night after she fell asleep," Emily recalled, stirring the coffee that had already cooled. "But it was the only way to give her a better future." Alex felt his chest tighten. Each story Emily told about her struggles and sacrifices made him admire her more, and simultaneously increased his guilt for deceiving her. Here was a woman who had earned everything on her own, talking to someone who was born with everything served on a silver platter. "She is lucky to have a mother like you," Alex said softly. "Sometimes I wonder if it's enough," Emily confessed, surprised by her own honesty. There was something about Alex that made her want to open her heart. "If I'm giving her everything she deserves." "Emily, you are raising a smart, questioning and loving girl. Any child would be lucky to have that." Emily looked into his blue eyes, feeling a connection that went beyond professional courtesy. "Thank you. Sometimes it's hard to be both mother and father." "Her father isn't in our lives," Emily quickly interrupted, "and we're fine this way. Lily and I are a team." Alex nodded, mentally noting another piece of information about the woman who was, unbeknownst to her, completely changing his perspective on what truly mattered in life. The moment was broken by the sound of Emily's phone ringing. "I need to take this," she said, checking the screen. "It's from Lily's school." As Emily stepped away to take the call, Alex was left alone in the break room, watching her through the glass. The immediate concern that washed over her face when she answered the phone, the way she slightly hunched as if bracing for bad news, the way she relaxed when she realized it wasn't an emergency. All of this confirmed to Alex that he was dealing with a genuine woman, a devoted mother, someone completely different from the people he usually associated with. And for the first time in his 32 years of life, Alex Anderson was in love with someone who had no idea who he really was. A sunny Saturday in May found Emily pushing a shopping cart down the cleaning products aisle of the Walmart in West End. Lily walked beside her, reading aloud the shopping list written on crumpled paper, her small hands holding a pencil to check off the items already placed in the cart. Dish soap, Lily read carefully. Fabric softener, toilet paper. Mom, why do you always buy the, cheapest? Because it works just as well. And there's still money left for other important things, Emily explained patiently, picking up a pack with 8 rolls of the simplest brand. It was a lesson she had been trying to teach her daughter since she was little. Money was a limited resource and needed to be used wisely. Like ice cream? Lily asked hopefully. Like medicine, doctor visits, and your school tuition, Emily corrected with a smile. But maybe there will be enough for ice cream at the end of the month. They were discussing whether to get plain yogurt or flavored when Emily heard a familiar voice in the aisle next to them. No, I want fresh salmon, not frozen. It's for a special dinner. Emily frowned. That voice. It sounded like Alex. Curious, she walked to the end of the aisle and discreetly peeked into the seafood section. And there he was, dressed in a navy polo shirt and jeans, carefully examining the salmon fillets in the refrigerated case. Alex, she called, approaching with Lily. He turned, and for a fraction of a second Emily caught a look of surprise on his face, almost as if he had been caught doing something wrong. But quickly, the familiar smile spread across his face. Emily! Lily! What a coincidence, he said, quickly putting away the credit card he was about to hand to the employee. Doing the weekly shopping? It's our Saturday tradition, Lily explained, waving the list. Mom teaches me math by calculating the prices. Today we've already saved $23.50. Alex smiled genuinely. Very impressive. And you, what are you doing here? Oh, I live nearby, Alex replied, vaguely gesturing toward one of the more expensive streets in the neighborhood. I thought I'd make a special dinner tonight. Emily looked at the selection in the case. Fresh salmon, large shrimp, cleaned squid, all quite expensive for an intern's budget. Special dinner? She asked, trying to sound casual. Yeah, I have some friends coming over, Alex improvised. I like to cook when I have the time. That's cool. Mom likes to cook too, but we only buy fish when it's on sale, Lily commented, with the brutal honesty of children. Emily felt her face heat up slightly. Lily! It's okay, Alex said quickly. In fact, this salmon was on sale. The employee told me it's the last day. He turned to the man behind the counter. Isn't that right, Mr. Johnson? The employee, clearly confused, looked at the premium salmon that cost $19.90 per pound. Oh, yes, of course. Special promotion. Emily noticed the exchange of glances, but Alex was already changing the subject. And you two, are you doing anything special this weekend? We're going to the park on Sunday, Lily replied excitedly. If it doesn't rain. Mum promised we can paddle boat if I behave well in school all week. Central Park? Alex asked. Villa Lobos Park, Emily corrected. It's closer and the entrance is free. Alex nodded, mentally noting another piece of information about Emily's financial limitations. It's a beautiful park. I'm sure you'll have fun. They chatted for a few more minutes, with Lily enthusiastically telling about a school project on aquatic animals, while Emily discreetly observed Alex's shopping habits. He seemed to know the supermarket well, greeting employees by name and showing familiarity with the location of the products. Well, I don't want to interrupt your shopping, Alex finally said. See you on Monday. Sure. Enjoy your dinner with your friends, Emily said, watching him walk away toward the checkout. As they continued their shopping, Lily broke the silence that followed. Mum, why did you get all weird after you saw Alex? I didn't get weird, Emily denied, but she knew her daughter was right. There was something about the encounter that didn't fit. The expensive salmon, the familiarity with the place, the way the employee had readily agreed with the lie about the sale. He's different when he's not at the office, Lily observed with the keen perception of children. Different how? More relaxed, like he's at home. Emily reflected on this as they picked up the last items on the list. Lily was right. At work, Alex always seemed slightly on guard, as if he were playing a role. But here, in the supermarket of his neighborhood, he seemed more natural, more himself. When they reached the checkout, Emily couldn't help but search for Alex with her eyes. She saw him in the express lane, with a bag that seemed to contain much more than the ingredients for the dinner he had mentioned. And when he paid, Emily was sure she saw a gold card, a card that only very high-income people had. Mom, you forgot to get the milk, Lily brought her back to reality. Sorry, sweetheart, Emily said, forcing herself to focus on her own shopping. But throughout the following week, the image of Alex in the supermarket bothered her. Every casual conversation they had at the office, every comment he made about money or the struggles of middle-class life seemed to carry a false note that she couldn't quite identify. On Thursday, while they were having lunch in the food court of the mall near the office, a habit they had developed when Alex mentioned he also brought lunch from home to save money, Emily decided to test her suspicions. You know West End well? She commented casually, stirring the salad she had bought at the cheapest deli in the court. I've lived there for a while, Alex replied, biting into a natural sandwich that looked like it had come from one of the more expensive delis. What street again? You mentioned Maple Street, right? Alex nodded. Near Aspicuelta. Emily knew that area well. It was one of the most sought after in West End, where apartments easily cost 3 times what she could afford. It must be expensive there. I share the apartment, Alex quickly improvised. With 2 other guys, it's cheaper that way. Smart, Emily said, but noticed how he avoided her gaze when he said that. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Jessica, a colleague from the marketing department, a woman in her 40s with an effusive personality and a tendency for harmless gossip. Emily, Alex, she exclaimed, joining the table with her lunch. So good to see you here. Alex, my boyfriend was saying the other day that you look just like the son of the owner of Anderson Enterprises. Isn't that a hilarious coincidence? Emily noticed Alex slightly choke on his sandwich. Anderson Enterprises? She asked. You know, that giant business conglomerate. The owner has a young son who occasionally appears in business magazines. Ryan said you two are practically identical, Jessica continued, seemingly oblivious to the tension that had settled in. It must be one of those coincidences, Alex managed to say, his voice a bit hoarse. It's true. They say everyone has a doppelganger somewhere in the world, Emily agreed, but her eyes never left Alex's face. Jessica continued chattering about celebrities and doppelgangers, but Emily was hardly paying attention. She was watching Alex, the way his hands trembled slightly when he picked up the glass of water, how his eyes avoided hers for the rest of lunch, how he found an excuse to leave early. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Emily sat down in front of the old computer in the living room and typed Anderson Enterprises into Google. What she saw took her breath away. The company was even larger than she had imagined, a conglomerate that included Johnson & Partners, where she worked, but also construction, technology, import and export companies. And there, in a 3-year-old photo, in a Business Weekly article, was Alex, Anderson identified as heir and future CEO of the business group, The same Alex who shared an apartment with two friends. The same Alex who wore simple clothes and drank weak coffee in the common kitchen. The same Alex she was starting to... Emily abruptly closed the laptop, her heart racing. She didn't know what was more disturbing, discovering that Alex had lied about his identity, or realizing that it hurt her much more than it should hurt someone who supposedly saw him only as a co-worker. The weeks of June brought an unusual chill to Boston, and with it an unexpected closeness between Emily and Alex. Since the disturbing discovery about his true identity, Emily had struggled with conflicting feelings, the anger at the lie, confusion about his motivations, and a growing attraction she desperately tried to deny. On this chilly Thursday, Emily was organizing the quarterly files when Alex appeared at her office door, holding 2 steaming mugs of coffee. "I thought you could use this," he said, offering one of the mugs. "It's freezing today." Emily looked up from the documents and noticed that the coffee came from the executive's espresso machine. "Thanks," she said cautiously. "But you shouldn't. Use that machine. Who's going to complain?" Alex shrugged, sitting down in the chair across from her desk. "Besides, you work harder than half the executives in this company." Emily took a sip and sighed in pleasure. The coffee was perfect, strong, creamy, just the way she liked it. "How do you know how I like my coffee?" "Observation," Alex smiled, but Emily noticed a slight blush on his cheeks. The truth was that he had secretly instructed the cleaning staff to observe how she made coffee when she used the regular machine, and then he had programmed the espresso machine with those specifications. "You're very observant," Emily commented, studying his face. "Sometimes I feel like you know me better than I know myself." Alex felt his stomach tighten. With each passing day, lying to Emily became harder. "Maybe it's because you're interesting," he said honestly. "It's easy to pay attention to someone like you." "Someone like me?" "Determined, brave, a dedicated mother who works twice as hard to give the best to her daughter." Emily felt her heart race. There was something in Alex's voice, a sincerity that contrasted with the lies she knew he was telling about his identity. "You speak as if you admire me." "I do," Alex said simply, "very much." The silence that followed was charged with tension. Emily lowered her eyes to the mug, trying to process the conflicting feelings. How could she be feeling attracted to someone who was clearly hiding who he really was? "Alex," she began hesitantly, "can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course," he replied, though his body tensed. "Why did you choose to work here? I mean, with your background from Harvard, you could be anywhere." Alex studied her face, realizing there was something behind the question. "I like the company. I like the people. I like making a difference in people's lives." "And do you feel like you're making a difference?" "Every day," Alex said, looking directly into her eyes. "Especially lately." The conversation was interrupted by Lily, who appeared at the office door, still dressed in her school uniform, her cheeks red from the cold. "Mom, the teacher let us out early because of the rain," she announced, running to hug Emily. "Lily, how did you get up here by yourself?" Emily stood up, worried. "The security guard at the front desk knows me. I told him I was your daughter, and he let me take the elevator," Lily explained as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Alex stood up as well, smiling at the girl. "Hi, Lily. How was school today?" "Oh, Alex," Lily beamed. "We had a math test. I think I did well. Can you help me check the answers?" Emily watched their interaction, noticing how Alex immediately crouched down to be at Lily's level, how his expression softened completely, how he seemed genuinely interested in what the girl had to say. "Of course," Alex said. "What kind of problems did you solve?" Lily pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from the backpack. Money problems, like if you have $100 and spend $35 on food and $20 on transportation, how much is left? $45, Alex replied automatically, then looked at Emily. Sorry, I didn't mean to answer for Lily. It's fine, Emily said, but noticed how he had answered without hesitation, without even doing the math in his head. Lily, can you show him how you did the math? Lily positioned herself next to Alex, explaining step by step her reasoning. Emily watched, fascinated as he paid. Full attention to the girl, asking questions that made her think more deeply about the problems, praising her reasoning. You're good with kids, Emily commented when Lily finished showing all the problems. I like kids, Alex replied. They're honest. They ask direct questions, say what they think. Sometimes too honest, Emily laughed, recalling some embarrassing moments with Lily. Honesty is never too much, Alex said, and Emily caught a note of guilt in his voice. Mom, Lily interrupted, can I have a hot chocolate? It's really cold outside. Sure, sweetheart. There's a hot chocolate machine at the end of the hall. I can take her, Alex offered. I need to pass by there anyway. Emily hesitated. She was starting to trust Alex with Lily, which scared her, considering she didn't really know who he was. But there was something in his eyes when he looked at her daughter, a genuine tenderness that seemed impossible to fake. Okay, she agreed. But Lily, don't bother Alex with too many questions. She doesn't bother, Alex said sincerely, extending his hand to Lily. In fact, I like her questions. They make me think about things I took for granted. As they left, Emily sat back down in her chair, watching through the glass window as Alex and Lily walked down the hall. He had slowed his pace to match her small steps, leaning his head to listen to her words. And Emily could see that Lily was animatedly gesturing, probably telling some elaborate story. 15 minutes later they returned with Lily holding a large cup of hot chocolate and a smile that stretched from ear to ear. Mom, Alex taught me a super cool math trick, Lily exclaimed. If you want to know what 9 times any number is, you... Let Lily show. You at home, Alex gently interrupted. Your mom needs to finish her work. Emily noticed how he had redirected Lily's attention to her, respecting her role as a mother. Thank you, she said softly, and was rewarded with a warm smile. Mom, can Alex have dinner with us tonight? I wanted to show him my science project, Lily asked with the subtlety of a hammer. Lily! Emily felt mortified. You can't invite people like that. Actually, Alex carefully interrupted, I would love to see your project, but only if your mum agrees, of course. Emily looked between Alex and Lily, seeing the expectation on both their faces. Part of her screamed that it was a bad idea. She barely knew this man. He was clearly lying about his identity, and she was feeling dangerously attracted to him. But another part, the part that saw how Lily had lit up with his presence, how he treated her daughter with genuine affection, hesitated. It's nothing special, Emily finally said, just some simple pasta. Perfect, Alex smiled. Can I bring dessert? You don't have to. Ice cream, Lily shouted. Please, Mum, it's been so long since we had ice cream. Emily sighed, defeated. Okay. But nothing too expensive. You got it, Alex said, and Emily had the impression that he was holding back from smiling too widely. Later, as she quickly tidied up the small apartment before Alex arrived, Emily wondered if she was making a mistake, but when the doorbell rang at 7 o'clock and she opened the door to find Alex holding a tub of chocolate ice cream from the simplest supermarket brand, she noted, and a slightly nervous expression, all her fears momentarily vanished. Come in, she said, stepping aside. Welcome to our home. And for the first time, Since discovering who he really was, Emily allowed herself to simply enjoy Alex's company, even not knowing if she could fully trust him. The morning of a July Monday brought with it a surprise that would completely change the dynamic at Johnson & Partners. Emily arrived at work to find an email from the Human Resources Department in her inbox with the subject, "Promotion Confidential." With slightly trembling hands, she opened the message. "Dear Emily Johnson, we are pleased to announce your promotion to the position of Regional Sales Manager, effective today. This position includes a 40% salary increase and additional benefits, including a premium health plan and education assistance for dependents. Your dedication and exceptional results were key to this decision. Sincerely, Human Resources Department." Emily reread the email 3 times before the words truly registered in her mind. 40% raise, premium health plan, education assistance for Lily. It was more than she had dreamed of when she accepted the job. "Oh my gosh, Emily, what a surprised look you have." Emily looked up to find Jessica standing next to her desk, holding a coffee mug and a curious smile. "I just got promoted," Emily said, still in shock. "Promoted? To what position?" Jessica sat on the edge of the desk, clearly interested in morning gossip. "Regional Sales Manager." "Wow, that's fantastic. And you weren't even applying, right? What luck." Emily frowned. Jessica was right. She hadn't even applied for the position. In fact, she didn't even know it was available. "It's kind of strange, isn't it?" "Strange? Not at all. You work harder than anyone here. You totally deserve it," Jessica said, but then lowered her voice conspiratorially. "Although there are people, someone influential is saying good things about you up there." "What do you mean?" "Oh, you know how office gossip goes. People are saying there's someone from upper management keeping an eye on your work. In a positive way, of course." Emily felt a flutter of anxiety. "Who's saying that?" "Charles from finance. He said he overheard 2 directors in the elevator talking about a special recommendation for your promotion." After Jessica left, Emily was alone with her troubling thoughts. A special recommendation? From whom? She was competent at her job, but there were other employees with more tenure and experience. Her reflections were interrupted by the arrival of Alex, who appeared at her door with his usual smile and 2 mugs of coffee. "I heard congratulations are in order," he said, offering one of the mugs. "How did you know?" Emily asked, accepting the coffee automatically. "News travels fast around here. Regional manager, right? Impressive." Emily studied his face carefully. "Alex, can I ask you a direct question?" "Sure." "Did you know about this promotion before it happened?" Alex hesitated for a fraction of a second, long enough for Emily to notice. "Why would I know?" "That's an answer with another question," Emily observed. "That usually means the person is avoiding answering." Alex sat down in the chair across from her desk, running his hand through his hair nervously. "Emily, You what?" "I may have mentioned to a few people that you were doing an excellent job." "Mentioned to whom, exactly?" "To people who have influence in the company." Emily felt anger rising in her chest. "Which people, Alex? And how does an intern have access to those people?" "I'm not exactly an intern," Alex said quietly, avoiding her gaze. "Oh? Then what are you?" Alex took a deep breath. "I work in special consulting. Sometimes I'm called for projects that involve different departments. I have contact with upper management because of that." Emily stood up, starting to pace back and forth in her small office. "And you thought it would be appropriate to mention my work to those people without consulting me first? Emily, you deserve this promotion. Your work is exceptional. That's not the point." Emily turned to face him, her eyes shining with anger. The point is that you made a decision about my career without consulting me. The point is that now everyone will think I only got this promotion because I have someone influential protecting me. That's not true. You got it because you're competent. Are you sure about that, Alex? Or did you use your influence to give me something I didn't earn on my own? The silence that followed was tense and uncomfortable. Alex stood up as well, trying to approach Emily, but she took a step back. Emily, I would never do anything to harm you. If I spoke well of your work, it was because it's true. And what right did you have to do that? Emily crossed her arms. Since when is my career your business? Since I care. About you, Alex said softly. You care about me. Emily let out a bitter laugh. Alex, I don't even know who you really are. You lie about where you live. You lie about your position in the company. You lie about your financial situation. I never lied about how I feel about you, Alex interrupted. How can I believe that if you lie about everything else? Alex ran his hand over his face, clearly frustrated. It's complicated, Emily. Complicated how? I can't explain right now. But you need to believe that everything I did was for your well-being. No, Emily slammed her hand on the desk. I don't need to believe anything. I need honesty, Alex. I need to know who I'm dealing with. And if you knew the truth, what would change? Emily paused, considering the question. I don't know, but at least it would be my choice to decide that, wouldn't it? Alex nodded slowly, looking defeated. You're right. You deserve the truth. Then tell me. Alex looked at the office door, then back at Emily. Not here. Not now. But you can trust me when I say I never did anything with the intention of hurting you. Emily studied him for a long moment. There was something in his eyes, a vulnerability, a genuine fear that made her hesitate. Alex, I want to trust you. But you need to stop protecting me from things I should decide for myself. You're right, Alex agreed. And about the promotion, if you want to decline, I can... No, Emily interrupted quickly. I won't decline. If you're telling the truth about me deserving it, then I'll accept. But next time you want to help my career, consult me first. Next time you'll know exactly who I am before I do anything, Alex promised. Emily nodded, but the tension between them remained. Alex. Yes? Whoever you really are, does that change how you feel about me and Lily? Alex looked her directly in the eyes. Never. That's the one thing you can be absolutely sure of. After Alex left, Emily sat in her new manager's chair, which had been delivered while they were talking, and tried to process everything that had happened. The promotion should have been a cause for celebration, but now it was tainted by uncertainty about how she had really achieved it. Even more disturbing was the growing awareness that, regardless of Alex's lies, she was falling for him. And for the first time since becoming a single mother, Emily allowed herself to admit that she wanted someone in her life, someone who would love both her and Lily. The question was, could it be Alex, even without knowing who he really was? The August mornings arrived with a biting chill that transformed Chicago into a different city. Emily watched through the window of her new office. Emily sat in her spacious office with a panoramic view of the city while sipping coffee from her new mug, a gift from Lily to celebrate her promotion. The central heating of the building kept the environment comfortable, but she could see people on the street bundling up against the cold wind sweeping down Main Street. 3 weeks had passed since the tense conversation about her promotion, and things between her and Alex had found a new balance. He continued to show up with coffee every morning, but now there was a caution in their interactions, as if they both were aware of unspoken secrets lingering between them. "Mom, it's too cold to take the bus to school today," Lily complained over the phone, calling from the borrowed cell phone of the school secretary. "Lily, you can't call from Mum's work just because it's cold," Emily said, though her voice carried more affection than reprimand. "But your car heater is still broken," Lily argued, "and the forecast says it's only going to be 46 degrees today." Emily sighed, looking at the stack of reports on her desk. As the new manager, she had responsibilities she couldn't just abandon, but she also couldn't let Lily freeze at the bus stop. "Can I help?" Emily looked up to find Alex standing in the doorway wearing a simple, grey wool coat that, despite its simplicity, seemed to have cost more than his weekly salary. "It's Lily," Emily explained, covering the phone. "My car heater broke, and it's too cold for her to wait for the bus." "I can pick her up," Alex immediately offered. "My car has heating, and I know the way to her school." Emily hesitated. In recent weeks, Alex had become a constant presence in their lives, showing up with excuses to offer rides when it rained, bringing educational books he had found for Lily, always there when they needed help. It was comforting and unsettling at the same time. "Lily?" Emily returned to the phone. "Alex can pick you up today. Do you remember him?" "The Alex from work? The one who taught me the math trick?" Lily's voice brightened immediately. "Of course! He can show me how his car heater works." 15 minutes later, Emily watched from the window as Alex helped Lily into a discreet black sedan. It wasn't too luxurious, but it definitely wasn't the kind of car a young person sharing an apartment could afford. Another piece of the puzzle that was Alex Johnson. During the drive, Lily chattered excitedly about a school project on sustainable energy, and Alex was surprised by the depth of her questions about solar heating and electric cars. "Alex," Lily said as they were approaching the school, "can I ask you something?" "Sure, ask me anything." "Do you like my mom?" Alex almost slammed on the brakes. "Why do you want to know that?" "Because she acts different when you're around," Lily explained with the straightforward logic of children. "She smiles more, and you act different too." "Different how?" "Happier. And you always show up when we need help, like today." Alex parked in front of the school, turning to look Lily in the eyes. "I really like your mom, Lily, and I like you too." "I like you too," Lily said simply. "You're nice and don't treat kids like they're dumb. And you make my mom laugh." "Your mom deserves to laugh more," Alex said softly. "That's true. She works a lot and worries too much. Sometimes I hear her crying in her room when she thinks I'm asleep." Alex felt his chest tighten. "Why does she cry?" "I think she worries if she's doing everything right with me, and sometimes she gets sad because she can't give me all the things other kids have." "Lily," Alex said carefully, "your mom is doing an amazing job. You're smart, kind, curious. That's because she loves you so much and dedicates herself to you." "I know," Lily nodded, "but it would be nice if she didn't have to do everything alone." That afternoon, Alex returned to the office with his mind buzzing from the conversation he had with Lily. He found Emily still working, surrounded by reports and spreadsheets. "How was the drive?" Emily asked, looking up when he appeared in the doorway. "Lily is excellent company," Alex said, entering and closing the door behind him. "Emily, can I ask you a question?" "Sure. Are you happy here? At the company, I mean." Emily seemed surprised by the question. "I am." "Why?" "It's just that sometimes you seem to be carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, like you're fighting everything alone." Emily put down her pen, studying his face. "That's how I feel sometimes," she admitted. "Since Lily was born, it's just been me and her against the world. It's exhausting sometimes. And what if it didn't have to be just the two of you?" Emily's heart raced. "What do you mean?" Alex stepped closer to her desk. "Emily, I know you have doubts about who I am, about my motivations. But one thing you can be sure of. I care about both of you. A lot." "Alex, let me finish," he requested. "I know I've been evasive about certain things, and that's going to change, but while you don't know the whole truth, can you at least accept that I want to be present in your lives? That I want to help when you need it?" Emily looked at him for a long moment. "Why is this important to you?" "Because you both are important to me," Alex said simply. "More important than anything else in my life." That night, Alex fulfilled his silent promise. When Emily and Lily left the building at 6:30 p.m., he was waiting in the parking lot with the car warmed up and 2 mugs of hot chocolate. "I thought you might like a cozy ride home," he said. He opened the car door for Lily. "Alex, what a nice surprise!" Lily exclaimed, jumping into the back seat. "Mom, look how cool! The seat warms up." During the eat-up drive home, a winter storm approached quickly, turning the sky into a dark grey cloak. The first drops of icy rain began to hit the windshield as they arrived at Emily's building. "I don't think I can make it home with this rain," Alex commented, watching the storm intensify. "You can stay for dinner," Lily suggested immediately. "Can't she, Mom? It's too dangerous to drive in this rain." Emily looked at the storm outside, then back at Alex. "Of course. It's nothing special, just soup and toast, but you're welcome." 2 hours later, the 3 of them were sitting at Emily's small kitchen table, sharing a homemade vegetable soup while the wind howled outside. Alex had taken off his jacket and rolled up the sleeves of his shirt, and for the first time, Emily saw him completely relaxed. "This soup is amazing," he said sincerely. "It's been a while since I had something made with so much care." "My mom always cooks," Lily said proudly. "She says homemade food has love in it." Alex smiled, looking around the small kitchen, the well-kept but old pots, the small fridge covered with Lily's drawings, the plants on the windowsill that Emily tended to religiously. It was simple, but there was something about the atmosphere that made him feel more at home than he had ever felt in his luxurious penthouse. "Lily is right," he said softly, looking directly at Emily. "You can feel the love." That night, while Lily slept in her room and they washed the dishes together in the small kitchen, Emily allowed herself to imagine what it would be like to have Alex as a permanent part of their lives. And for the first time since she discovered who he really was, she wondered if his lies really mattered that much. September arrived with the promise of spring, but it brought with it a discovery that would deeply shake the trust Emily was building with Alex. It was a sunny Thursday when she needed to go down to the basement of the building to fetch some old files from the company storage. The service elevator took her directly to the underground parking lot, a spacious and well-lit area reserved for executives and important visitors. Emily was walking toward the storage when a scene made her stop abruptly. Alex was standing next to a shiny black BMW, talking on, the phone in a low but visibly tense tone. He wasn't in his usual simple clothes. He was wearing a sharp dark suit and had a completely different, more upright, more authoritative posture. For a moment, Emily wasn't sure it was really him. She hid behind a column, her heart racing as she watched. Alex finished the call and got into the car from the driver's side, not the passenger side as would be expected if it were a borrowed car. The luxury engine purred softly as he started it. Emily stood still for several minutes after the car disappeared, trying to process what she had seen. The BMW was a new model, probably worth more than her house, and the ease with which Alex moved around the vehicle left no doubt that it was his. Later that day, when Alex showed up at her office with the usual coffee and casual smile, Emily decided to confront him. "Did you have a meeting today?" she asked, carefully observing his reaction. "Meeting?" Alex seemed genuinely confused. "No, why?" "I saw you in the basement earlier. You were well-dressed, talking on the phone." Alex's face tightened slightly. "Oh, that. I had to take care of some personal matters during lunch." "Personal matters that require a suit?" Alex hesitated. It was a banking issue, financing for the apartment I share. And the car. What car? The black BMW you were driving. Emily saw the exact moment Alex realized he had been caught. His features tensed, and he ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she had learned to recognize as a sign of nervousness. "I was test driving the car for a friend who works at a dealership," he finally said. Test driving. He wanted an opinion on the performance before making an important sale. The explanation sounded forced, rehearsed. Emily leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. "Alex, do you think I'm an idiot?" "What do you mean?" "You show up here dressed like an executive, driving a car that costs more than my annual salary, and expect me to believe you're test driving for a friend." "Emily." "No," she interrupted. "I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of explanations that don't make sense. I'm tired of not knowing who I'm dealing with." Alex sat down in the chair across from her, his expression serious. "What do you want to know?" "I want to know who you really are. I want to know why you lie about your financial situation. I want to know why a man who clearly has money pretends to be someone ordinary. And if I told you the truth, what would change between us?" "I don't know," Emily admitted, "but at least it would be honest." Alex was silent for a long moment, clearly struggling with some internal decision. "Emily, there are things about me that are complicated, things that might change how you see me. More complicated than lying about who you are? Maybe?" Emily stood up, starting to pace back and forth. "Alex, I care about you. Lily cares about you. But I can't continue a relationship based on lies." "Relationship?" Emily stopped, realizing what she had said. That's what it is, isn't it? Whatever is happening between us. It's what I hope it is," Alex said softly. "Then stop lying to me." Alex stood up as well, moving closer to her. "Emily, if I told you who I really am, you could never see me the same way again. You might never trust that my feelings are genuine. And do you think lying is better?" I'm afraid of losing you." The raw honesty in his voice made her stop. "Losing me to what?" "To prejudice, to distrust, to the idea that I'm with you for the wrong reasons." Emily studied him, noticing the vulnerability in his eyes. "What wrong reasons, Alex? What if I was someone with a lot of money? Someone who could solve all your financial problems with a check? Would you trust that my feelings are real? Or would you always wonder if I'm treating you like a charity project?" Emily's heart raced. "Do you have a lot of money?" Alex closed his eyes. "More than you can imagine. And you thought hiding this from me would be better. I thought that if you got to know me first, if you fell in love with the person I really am inside, then the money wouldn't matter. But you didn't let me know the real person," Emily pointed out. "You created a character." "The character is real," Alex insisted. "My conversations with you, my feelings for Lily, the way I feel when I'm with you, all of that is real." Emily sat back down, trying to process everything. "So who are you really, Alex?" Alex took a deep breath. "My full name is Alex Anderson." Anderson, like the company, like the owner of the company. Emily felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. "You are the owner?" "I inherited it from my father 3 years ago." "So you are my boss?" "Technically, yes." Emily stood up abruptly, anger exploding. "You are my boss, and you let me believe we were equals. You let me accept a promotion that you approved. Emily, your qualifications don't matter," Emily shouted. "Nothing I've achieved matters because you were controlling everything. My career, my life, my choices. You manipulated everything. I never gave you anything you didn't deserve. How can I believe that? How can I believe anything you say?" Alex tried to approach, but Emily backed away. "Emily, please." "No," she said, her voice trembling with anger and disappointment. don't come near me. I need to think. We can talk about this. We've talked 3 months too long, Emily said bitterly. 3 months of lies. My feelings were never a lie. Emily looked at him, and Alex saw tears shining in her eyes. How can I distinguish what is real from what is a lie, Alex? How can I trust anything related to you? Alex had no answer for that, and when Emily asked him to leave her office, he obeyed, leaving behind the woman he had fallen in love with, who now saw him as everything he had desperately tried not to be. Just another rich man trying to control her life. October arrived with an urgency that Emily hadn't expected. It was a rainy Tuesday when the phone rang in the middle of the night, pulling her from a restless sleep. On the other end of the line, Lily's teacher's voice carried a concern that made Emily's blood run cold. "Miss Johnson, it's Miss Carla. Lily fainted during recess and has a high fever. We've already called an ambulance." Emily dressed in record time, her hands trembling as she grabbed the car keys. The Honda Civic took a while to start in the building's garage, the engine coughing and sputtering as if it too felt the urgency of the moment. Throughout the drive to the General Hospital, she fought against panic, repeating to herself that Lily was strong, that it was just a bad flu. But when she arrived at the General Hospital, the doctor's words hit her like a punch to the stomach. "Severe bacterial pneumonia," said Dr. Smith, a middle-aged man with glasses and a serious expression. "We need to admit her immediately. The situation is serious, but with the right treatment she will be fine." "How long?" Emily asked, holding Lily's small hand, which was connected to machines beeping constantly. "At least a week, maybe more. We'll need intravenous antibiotics, oxygen therapy." Emily just nodded, trying not to think about what all this would cost. Her new health plan would cover part, but she knew that a private hospital meant expenses that would quickly drain her savings. It was during the second night, while dozing in the uncomfortable chair next to Lily's bed, that Emily heard low voices in the hallway. She recognized one of them immediately, even though she hadn't spoken to Alex in 2 weeks. "I want the best specialists available," he was saying in an authoritative tone Emily had never heard before. "Cost doesn't matter, and I want reports every hour." "Yes, Mr. Anderson. Dr. Johnson is the best pediatric pulmonologist in the hospital. He is already on his way." Emily quietly got up and went to the slightly open door. Alex was in the hallway, still wearing an expensive suit, apparently having come straight from the office. Next to him was a man in a white coat, clearly someone from the hospital administration, taking notes on a tablet. "And about the costs?" the administrator asked. "Everything goes to my personal account. The family cannot know." Emily felt her stomach churn. He was paying for Lily's treatment, without her knowing, without her consent. When Alex finally entered the room, he found Emily standing next to Lily's bed, arms crossed and a furious expression on her face. "How did you know she was admitted?" Emily asked quietly, so as not to wake Lily. "I received a phone call," Alex replied, clearly uncomfortable. "From whom? And don't lie to me this time." Alex sighed. "I have contacts at the hospital. When an employee of my company has a dependent admitted, they automatically notify me." "And you thought it was appropriate to come here? To make medical decisions for my daughter? To pay for treatments without consulting me?" "Emily, Lily needed the best care. That is not your decision." Emily exploded, then quickly looked at Lily to make sure she hadn't woken her up. "She's not your daughter, Alex. You have no right to make these decisions." "I care about her, about both of you. Do you care or do you pity?" "How can you ask that?" "Because that's exactly how it seems," Emily said, the tears of anger shining in her eyes. "The generous billionaire helping the poor single mother and her sick daughter. Is that how you see me? You know that's not how it is. I don't know anything about you, Alex. I thought I did, but I was wrong. Alex tried to step closer, but Emily took a step back. Emily, please, Lily needs treatment and I can ensure she gets the best. Stop, Emily interrupted. Stop trying to save me. Stop trying to fix my life. I can take care of my daughter. With what money? Alex asked, and immediately regretted the words. The silence that followed was devastating. Emily looked at him as if she had been slapped. With my money, she said slowly. With the money I earn working. With the money from selling my car if necessary. With loans, if needed. But with my money earned through my effort. Emily, that's pride. That's dignity, she corrected. Something you apparently don't understand. Alex ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. I just want to help. You want to control. There's a difference. That's not true. No? Then why didn't you ask me if I wanted your help? Why did you make decisions about my daughter's treatment without consulting me? Why are you paying for everything behind my back? Alex had no answer for that. Emily was right, and he knew it. I want you to leave, Emily finally said. Emily, leave, Alex. Cancel any arrangements you made. Lily is my responsibility, and I will take care of her my way. And if she needs something you can't afford? The question hit Emily like a low blow. She looked at Lily, small and fragile in the hospital bed, and felt her heart shatter. Then I will find a way. Emily, be reasonable. Reasonable. Emily turned to him, her eyes shining with anger. Reasonable would have been you being honest with me from the start. Reasonable would have been you treating me as an equal, not as a charity project. You're not a charity project. Then prove it. Leave. Let me take care of my daughter. Alex looked at Lily, then back at Emily. If she needs anything, she won't need you, Emily said firmly. After Alex left, Emily sat by Lily's bed and cried silently. She cried for her sick daughter, for her wounded pride, for the relationship she had lost before it even had a chance to truly start. But mostly she cried because a part of her wanted to accept Alex's help, and that scared her more than any hospital bill. 3 days later, when Lily finally opened her eyes and smiled weakly at her, Emily knew she had made the right decision. Lily would recover, and they would continue to be a team of two, even if it cost everything she had. 2 weeks after Lily was discharged from the hospital, Emily made the hardest decision of her professional life. She was in her office on a cloudy November Monday morning, typing her resignation letter, when Jessica appeared at the door with a shocked expression. Emily, have you lost your mind? Jessica entered unceremoniously, closing the door behind her. Charles told me you resigned. Please tell me it's not true. Emily saved the document and leaned back in her chair. It's not a lie. I accepted an offer from Smith & Johnson. But Emily, you just got promoted. You're doing well here. You have stability. Jessica, I need to prove to myself that I can grow professionally on my own merit, not through outside influence. Jessica sat down, studying her. Does this have to do with that rumor about you and Alex Johnson? Emily felt her stomach tighten. What rumor? Oh, you know how office gossip is. People are saying you two had something, that your promotion wasn't exactly clean. Emily's blood ran cold. Who's saying that? Charles heard some executives talking in the elevator. Something about the young Johnson having a special interest in a sales department employee. Emily closed her eyes, feeling the humiliation burn in her chest. It was exactly what she had feared. And what else are they saying? Nothing too specific, but you know how these things spread. Once they plant the seed of doubt, my professional reputation will be tarnished forever, Emily bitterly completed. Is that why you're leaving? Emily nodded. I need to start over, somewhere my achievements are truly mine. That afternoon, Emily was organizing her belongings when Alex appeared at the door of her office. She hadn't seen him since the hospital, and she was shocked by his appearance. He looked thinner, with deep dark circles under his eyes and a pallor that indicated sleepless nights. "Is it true?" he asked bluntly. "You're leaving the company?" "I am," Emily replied without looking up from the boxes she was packing. "Because of me." It wasn't a question, but Emily answered anyway. "Partially." Alex entered the office and closed the door. "Emily, this is madness. You have a future here. I have a future, wherever I can build it, honestly." Emily interrupted him, finally looking at him. "And clearly, this is not that place. If the problem is me, I can step back. I can transfer the presidency to someone else." Emily stopped packing and stared at him, incredulous. "You would do that?" "I would do anything to keep you and Lily in New York so that we could try to fix this." "Alex." Emily felt her heart tighten. "It's not just about you being the owner of the company. It's about trust. It's about honesty. It's about respect. I respect you." "No, you don't respect me," Emily said firmly. "If you respected me, you would have been honest from the start. If you respected me, you would have consulted me before making decisions about my career and my daughter. I was trying to protect you." "From what? Reality? From my own choices? You don't understand, Alex. When you protect me from things I need to decide for myself, you're treating me like a helpless child." Alex sat heavily in the chair across from her desk. "I never wanted to make you feel that way, but that's how I feel." Emily went back to packing her belongings, "And that's why I need to leave." "Where are you going?" "Smith & Johnson offered me a senior manager position, similar salary to what I have here, but with the assurance that I earned it on my own merit. And Lily, she's going to miss New York." Emily hesitated. Lily had really formed bonds with the city, and especially with Alex. "She'll adapt." "She asked about me," Alex said softly. "When I was in the hospital, asked where I was. What do you want me to do with that information, Alex?" "I want you to know that I'm not just someone who showed up in your lives and complicated everything. I genuinely care. Lily cares about me too. And that makes everything harder," Emily admitted, her voice breaking slightly. "Do you think it's easy for me? Cutting ties with someone my daughter loves? With someone you what?" Emily shook her head. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me. With someone I was falling in love with," Emily said quickly, as if the words burned her mouth. Alex stood up. "Emily." "But that doesn't change anything," she continued. "You lied to me for months, made decisions about my life without consulting me, made me accept help without my knowledge. How can I build a relationship based on that? You can give me a chance to prove I've changed." "How?" Alex took a deep breath. "I resign from the presidency of the company, publicly. I transfer my shares to a fund managed by an independent board." Emily looked at him, shocked. "You would do that?" "I already did," Alex said simply. "The papers were signed this morning. The news will be released tomorrow." "Alex." "Why?" "Because you were right. I was using my position to control things I shouldn't control. Because I want to prove that my feelings are genuine, not an extension of my power." Emily sat down slowly. "And what will you do now?" "Accept a position as a consultant at a smaller company. Normal salary, normal responsibilities, a normal life." "You don't know what it's like to have a normal life. Then you can teach me." Emily looked at Alex, really looked. She saw the determination in his eyes, but she also saw vulnerability, fear, and something that looked a lot like desperate love. "And does that change anything?" she asked softly. "I don't know," Alex admitted, "but I hope it does." Emily finished closing the last box in silence. "I'm still going to accept the job at Smith & Johnson." Alex nodded, clearly trying to hide his disappointment. "I understand." "But—" Emily hesitated. "Maybe we can talk after I settle into the new job." after I'm sure I can trust you again. That's all I can ask for, Alex said. And for the first time in weeks, Emily saw a glimmer of hope in his eyes. That night, when Emily told Lily about the job change, the girl asked the question she had been dreading. And what about Alex? Are we going to keep seeing him? Emily chose her words carefully. Maybe, sweetheart, but things are complicated between us right now. Because of his money. Emily was surprised by her daughter's perception. Partly. But he's the same person, right? Just with more money. It's more complicated than that, Lily. Adults complicate things so much, Lily observed with the simple wisdom of children. I like Alex. He's nice and makes me laugh and makes you happy. He did, Emily corrected gently. He still does. You're just scared. And as Emily tucked Lily into bed that night, she wondered if her 7-year-old daughter was wiser than she was. March 2026 arrived with a torrential rain that turned the streets of New York into temporary rivers. Emily was in her car, trying to reach General Hospital in time when the first really strong contractions hit her. Her hands trembled on the wheel as she navigated through the chaotic city traffic. Lily beside her trying to disguise the panic in her voice while timing the intervals between the pains. Mom, the last one was just 3 minutes ago, Lily said, looking at her phone's clock with the seriousness of a veteran nurse. You said to go to the hospital when they were 5 minutes apart. I know, sweetheart, Emily gasped, stopping at yet another traffic light that seemed to take an eternity. We're almost there. It had been almost 8 months since she left Johnson & Partners, and her new life was finally finding a rhythm. Working at Smith & Johnson had proven to be challenging and rewarding, and she had proven to herself that she could grow professionally based purely on merit. But the discovery of her pregnancy in December had changed everything again. A particularly strong contraction made her double over the wheel. Lily, you need to call someone, she said through clenched teeth. Who? Emily hesitated. In the last few months, she and Alex had talked occasionally, careful meetings in neutral cafes where he patiently demonstrated how he had changed his life. He really had resigned from controlling the company, really had moved to a simple apartment, really had started a new career. And slowly, very slowly, Emily had begun to trust him again, but they still hadn't talked about the baby. Call Alex, Emily finally said. Lily didn't hesitate, dialing the number. Months earlier, he had memorized the number. Alex, it's Lily. My mum is having the baby now and we're stuck in traffic. Emily couldn't hear his response, but she saw Lily relax slightly. He said he's coming to meet us at the hospital, Lily reported, and that he's going to call an ambulance too. 20 minutes later, Emily was being wheeled on a stretcher to the obstetrics center while Alex held Lily in the hallway, both visibly nervous but trying to stay calm. She'll be okay, Alex told Lily, but Emily suspected he was trying to convince himself too. And the baby will be okay too. Emily passed through the double doors, hearing Alex promise Lily that he would stay with her throughout the wait. 4 hours later, Emily held a healthy baby boy, weighing 7 pounds and 2 ounces, with his eyes closed, and a serene expression that contrasted with the drama of his entrance into the world. When they finally allowed Alex and Lily to enter the room, Emily saw tears in both their eyes. He's perfect, Lily whispered, gently touching her brother's tiny hand. Alex stood at the door for a moment, clearly emotional but uncertain about his place in that intimate moment. Emily looked at him and saw the man she had come to know over the past months, more humble, more caring, but with the same genuine affection he had always shown for her and Lily. Do you want to hold him? Emily offered softly. Alex approached hesitantly, as if he were on sacred ground. When Emily placed the baby in his arms, he held him with the reverence of someone who finally understands what truly matters in life. Hey, little guy, Alex murmured, and the baby opened his eyes as if recognizing the voice. Welcome to the world. What are we going to name him? Lily asked, climbing onto the bed next to Emily. Emily looked at Alex, then at her daughter, then at the son in her arms. How about Michael? It means who is like God, someone special. Michael Johnson, Lily tested the name. I like it. Michael Johnson Anderson, Alex said softly, looking directly into Emily's eyes. Emily felt her heart race. Alex, Emily, these past months have taught me that it doesn't matter how much money I have or what social position I hold. What matters is being here, in this moment, with the people I love. He looked at the baby, then at Lily, then at her. If you let me, I want to be present for all the moments, the difficult and the joyful. I want to be a father to Michael and to Lily. I want to be a husband to you. Are you proposing to me in a maternity ward? Emily asked through tears and laughter. I'm proposing on the first day of our son's life, Alex corrected. I'm asking to officially start our life as a family. Lily clapped softly so as not to wake her brother. Say yes, Mom, please. Emily looked around, at Alex holding their son with so much love, at Lily radiant with the prospect of a complete family, at the view from the window where New York stretched out under a sky that had finally opened after the storm. Yes, she simply said, yes, I want to marry you. Alex leaned in and kissed her forehead, then kissed Michael's forehead, then kissed Lily's forehead. Thank you, he whispered, for giving me a family, for teaching me what it really means to love someone, for giving me a second chance. Third chance, Lily corrected with a cheeky smile, but who's counting? And there, in that hospital room in New York, with the rain finally stopping outside and the sun beginning to peek through the clouds, Emily finally understood that sometimes true love isn't about finding the perfect person, but about two imperfect people who choose to grow together. 6 months later, Alex Anderson and Emily Johnson married in a simple ceremony in Central Park, the same park where they had walked so many times. During the turbulent beginning of their relationship, Lily was the maid of honor. Michael slept peacefully in the arms of his newly acquainted grandmother, and all the staff from Smith & Johnson attended to celebrate the woman who had proven that competence and integrity always win in the end. And when Alex promised in his vows to love Emily in wealth and poverty, in health and sickness, Emily knew that this time, finally, she could believe in every word.